are you? Welcome back. Open Line Friday, Rush Limbaugh. Okay, let's stick with the Romney welfare, gutting welfare ad that has the regime so upset. It's a couple things. There's no question. Look, Obama is trying to suppress the white vote. The white, working, middle-class vote, Obama's trying to suppress that. And now, we know that they wrote that vote off starting in November of last year. They knew as early as November of last year they had lost that voting block. The old Reagan Democrats, essentially. White, working-class Americans. Now, forget the racial component from I think there is one, but that's not what I want to focus on. It's not the point. Now Obama, since about, I don't know, month or two ago, has been doing everything to suppress that vote. A lot of Obama's and the PAC's ads on television have been designed to suppress that vote by portraying Romney as anathema to them. Remember now, they are white, working class, i.e. middle class voters. Obama is still counting on the fact that class warfare will work on him. Now, he knows that they're not going to vote for him. But if he can get them to not vote, period, then it doesn't matter that he's written them off. If they're not going to vote for him, the next task is to make sure they don't show up for Romney. How do you do that? Well, you portray Romney as some rich moneybags guy who isn't going to help them. And not only that, doesn't even like them. Resents them. Romney is a snooty rich guy. And all he cares about is his own wealth. He doesn't want you to have any. He's not going to cut your taxes. He's not going to do anything for you. All Romney's going to do is come up ways not pay his own, blah, blah. You know the drill. In the midst of all this, Obama comes along and relatively quietly guts welfare reform. Now, why do it now? You can do this after the election, even if you lose. But why do it now? Even if they tried to do it quietly so that no one would notice, but that didn't work. Now, welfare reform required recipients to either try to get a job. In fact, they did. They had to try to get a job in order to get welfare. And it worked. It reduced the welfare rolls by 50%. Now, the one thing that we know, Obama and the Democrat Party have hated welfare reform from the day Bill Clinton signed it. The day Bill Clinton signed it in 1996, the Reverend Jackson and a number of others went on TV and told him that they expected him to fix it. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure the timing of this, if I'm not mistaken, this was a big deal at the 96 Democrat convention. Welfare reform. They were fit to be tied over this. They didn't like it because they don't want people to have to work. The Democrat Party wants slothful people. They don't care that that's their voting base. They're very happy. The more dependent people, the better. The bigger government needs to be to take care of these people, however inadequately, the better. So in the midst of all of this, in the midst of the left wing of the Democrat Party constantly opposing the work requirements in 1996, and they've been trying to get rid of them ever since. Why did Obama do this now? All it's done is call attention to it. And so where he's in the middle of trying to suppress the votes of the white working class, here comes Romney with a truthful ad that's going to whip them back up into a frenzy. Whatever success, if any, and I don't know, whatever success Obama has had in angering white working class voters toward Romney where they might just sit out and not vote, now he's whipped them up into a frenzy. Because the one thing the white working class voters don't like is slothful welfare recipients. They don't like slackers. They don't like takers. They don't like people sitting on the couch, getting a welfare check, watching television when they know they're paying for it. So my question, if this guy's such a brilliant politician, why would he undermine his own campaign strategy in the middle of campaign by gutting the work requirements in welfare? Why do it now? Because it just undermined everything they're trying to do. This is why the Romney welfare ad has got them so discombobulated, because they've done it to themselves. They have undercut, Obama has undercut his own strategy, which again is to so depress and so anger the white working class that they don't vote. Well, now here comes Romney with his ad, and let's play it again. It's so low key. This is another thing that just has me amazed, that the left is so upset about this. Such a low key ad. It's number 5, and here it is again, and it is chock full of the truth.
In 1996, President Clinton and a bipartisan Congress helped end welfare as we know it by requiring work for welfare. But on July 12th, President Obama quietly announced a plan to gut welfare reform by dropping work requirements. Under Obama's plan, you wouldn't have to work and wouldn't have to train for a job. They just send you your welfare check. And welfare to work goes back to being plain old welfare. Mitt Romney will restore the work requirement because it works.
Okay, that ad is chock full of truth, and it's got them all discombobulated. They brought it on themselves. Why do it? Now, if we're going to assume that the smartest people around, which a lot of people on our side do, you may be one of them. You may think they're so smart they smoke us all the time. They're always 2 steps ahead of us. Why undermine what is a major Obama effort, the suppression of the white working class vote? Because this ad of Romney's, the more it's seen, the more it just whips them back up. So whatever success Obama had in ticking them off and making them think that Romney's rotten to the core, so they're not even going to vote, now he's just whipped them up into a frenzy. Why do it? Why do it now? Well, you say, his ideology made him do it. And I think that's as good an answer as anything. The Democrats hate the work requirement. And I also think something, I think they believe that there are gains to be made by doing this. There are additional votes from the welfare state for Obama by doing this. They have to have made a calculation, but yet they're still fit to be tied over Romney. So they get the New York Times to go out and talk about how this is the lowest of the low. This ad, why, this is, yep, Chuck Todd asking Romney, you feel like you're in a race to the bottom? This ad is nothing. This is not a dirty ad. This is not a negative ad. There's nothing whatsoever offensive about it, except it tells the truth. Now, Robert Rector is the guy I've quoted him on this program since this program began. Poverty expert, Heritage Foundation. First time I quoted Robert Rector statistics, fairness and accuracy in reporting, they preceded Media Matters. Wrote this big long piece that was basically picked up word for word by the AP about how I lie and make things up. And all I was doing was repeating Bob Rector's statistics on poverty in this country compared to around the world. It is the statistic that shows how many people in poverty in this country own their house, how many have 2 cars, how many have a cell phone, how many have color TVs. It would astound you. If Bob Rector's research that's done that and has compared poverty here to poverty in Europe, poverty in Asia, and poverty here, while poverty here is not poverty. Real dirt poverty like it is around the rest of the world. I pointed this out. I quoted Rector. I got creamed for 4 years in the mainstream media for lying and making things up. Bob Rector wrote welfare reform. Bob Rector's the guy who wrote it. This is what Heritage does. We've been telling you that too. Heritage works with members of Congress. Heritage was instrumental in putting together the Reagan tax cut plan, Kemp Roth. And Rector was involved in writing welfare reform in the 90s. That ended up having the work requirements in it. So, Rector showed up on the News Hour on PBS with Judy Woodruff. We've got 3 sound bites of Robert Rector saying he wrote welfare reform and Obama has undone it. And I'm going to play those for you when we come back.